I'm a coda, I'm a child of a deaf adult, and I know what it's like to be in a family with deaf people. So my parents lived in Oklahoma, and then they had my older sister. Even with like the technology that they had, it was still hard as deaf people trying to raise a hearing child. My dad decided that they should move back to Michigan, which is where he was really originally from, so that his parents could help raise my older sister. My parents would like hold Jessica, and then my grandparents would take over and just kind of like talk to her so she could be familiar with the language. She obviously spoke sign language first. She would like know simple signs as a baby. My grandparents would kind of just try to make sure that speech was incorporated too, so she wouldn't be behind. They made a priority in their life so we could have the foundation of sign language and speech. So my parents would bring us along to deaf events just to make sure that we were interacting with different codas, and that's awesome. But they would also make a different initiative just to make sure that we were plugged in the hearing community as well. I had a lot of friends in high school that would come over to my house, and it'd be great, but there was a problem there that I didn't actually think about. My parents explained to me that they would be hurt when my friends wouldn't acknowledge them. My parents would see my friends come in the house, put their heads down, and ignore my parents, and just kind of treat them as nothing. They would just put them on the shelf and just disregard them. To my parents, that was offending. Don't they deserve a look and a hi? I'd just be in the middle like, okay, I feel guilty for both sides. What do I do? In class, our professor told us this quote, and I completely agree with it. She said that the only thing deaf people can't do is hear. In my childhood, there was a lot of circumstances when people wouldn't view my parents as a normal human being because they can't hear. Why are you treating my parents different just because they can't hear? They're fully capable of driving. They're fully capable of making their own decisions. They are human beings, and when society doesn't view them in that way, it broke me down, because they deserve to have a say. They deserve to hear the gospel. They're human beings. Why isn't the church making an effort to minister to them? As a child, I didn't have a lot of intentions of learning sign language to maintain a relationship with my parents, because that wasn't my desire, my focus. My focus as a teenager was to be with my friends, being involved in youth groups, so I kind of just set aside my relationship with my parents. I've always had the desire to learn, but it wasn't my focus. So coming to Moody, taking this ASL class, it's changing my perspective, because I'm like, wow, I really do want to learn this. It has to be a very intentional relationship with the deaf to actually minister to them. So being in class has given me more of a perspective that I've never even considered before. I am a hearing person, but I have the wonderful experience of being in the deaf world too, and I definitely want to bring those worlds together. I want to be able to minister to the deaf and minister to the hearing and bring them together. I would encourage everyone to learn just the alphabet, because you will be in situations with deaf people, whether you know it or not. I think everyone in the world will encounter a deaf person, and it just depends on whether you know how to respond or not.